Good day, everybody. I am Attorney Machel Shea B. Dixman. I am your instructor, your lecturer for Criminal Law Book 2. Okay, so for today, our topic is search warrants, maliciously obtained, and abuse in the service of those legally obtained. Okay, so for the last videos, I have discussed the forms of violation of domicile. Okay, this Article 129 is one of the forms of violation of domicile. Okay. This is in violation also of your Article 3, Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution because this is a crime against the fundamental law of the state. Okay. So, under Article 129, there are two acts which are punished. Okay. Number one, procuring a search warrant without just cause. And number two, exceeding his authority or by using unnecessary severity in executing a search warrant legally procured. Okay. So, who are the violators? Who are the usual persons who violate this provision? It is usually the police officers, mostly those who apply for search warrants and those police officers who implement a search warrant. Okay. So, under the first mode of committing this crime, we have procuring a search warrant without just cause. We have three elements. Number one, offender is a public officer or employee. Number two, he procures a search warrant. And number three, there is no just cause. Okay. So, before ko i-discuss sa inyo itong tatlong elements, alamin muna natin kung ano ang search warrant. Okay. A search warrant is actually an order in writing issued in the name of the people of the Philippines, signed by the judge, and directed to a police officer, commanding that police officer to search for personal property described therein and to bring that personal property to court. Okay. So, Tagalogin natin. Ang search warrant isa itong dokumento na in-issue in the name of the people of the Philippines, pinirmahan ni judge, binigay ni judge sa police officer para bigyan ng authority yung police officer na maghalongkat or maghanap ng items na na-describe doon sa search warrant, doon sa place na naka-indicate doon sa search warrant. Okay. Now, before a police officer can be given a search warrant, there are several requisites. Okay. Number one, a search warrant shall not issue except upon probable cause in connection with one specific offense. Okay. So, for example, ako yung police officer. Okay. Palitan natin. Si Dennis ay isang police officer. Mag-apply siya ng search warrant kay judge. Sabi ni police officer Dennis, gusto ko pong kaalungkatin yung bahay ni Ace. Okay. Kasi, nag-conduct po ako ng surveillance and there is probable cause for me to believe, Judge, na si Ace po ay nagtitinda ng drugs, ng shabu. Okay, so, mag-apply po ako sa inyo ng search warrant. Okay. So, in that case, si Dennis as a police officer should present the affidavits of witnesses in support of his application to for a search warrant. And the judge, after conducting examination of the statements and of the affidavits in support of the application of Police Officer Dennis, may give the search warrant in his favor so that Police Officer Dennis can search the residence of Ace. Okay, so yun yung usual na process. Mag-apply ka. As a police officer, sasabihin mo, I have personal knowledge based on the witnesses and based on the investigation that I have conducted that Ace is engaged in the selling of shabu. Okay, because of that, the judge will issue a search warrant. A search warrant is valid for 10 days from the date of its issuance. Okay. And it is limited only to what is described in the warrant. Okay. So, dapat, kung ano yung thing na naka-indicate. Okay. Halimbawa, ang nakalagay doon is residence of Ace. Okay. Tapos, Ace is a resident of Poblacion, Sual, Pangasinan. Okay. Of number 97, Poblacion, Sual, Pangasinan. Okay. Ibig sabihin, yun lang yung isa-search nila. Hindi nila pwedeng i-search yung katabing bahay ni Ace. Okay. Hindi na pwedeng i-search yung bahay ng nanay ni Ace kahit magkatabi sila. Yun lang mismo. Okay? Tapos kapag naka-indicate doon sa search warrant ay packs of shabu, yun lang din yung items na isi-search, okay, ni Police Officer Dennis, okay? Okay? Another example, okay? When applying for a search warrant, okay, the police officer must pertain only to one specific offense, okay? So kung in relation to the selling of shabu, yun lang, okay? Kung merong other crimes, okay, for illegal possession of firearms, dapat mag-apply siya ng separate search warrant involving those firearms. Otherwise, it will result to a scattershot, okay, warrant. Okay. Yung scattershot warrant, yun yung under the Constitution kasi, nakalagay doon one specific offense. Okay. So, for one search warrant, dapat one specific offense. Okay. If there are two na violate na yung nakasaad sa Constitution natin na there must be particularity of the things, okay, to be searched and it should be in relation to one specific offense. So, mag-apply ka na lang ng ibang search warrant para doon sa illegal possession of firearms. Okay. So, under the first act of committing Article 129, procuring a search warrant without just cause, nagagawa ito ng police officer pag, for example, pag-apply siya kay judge ng search warrant. Okay. Sasabihin niya na, I have personal knowledge that Ace is in the conduct of the business or engaged in the business of selling shabu. Okay, I have conducted surveillance. I have interviewed witnesses. Yun ang sinabi ni Police Officer Dennis. Okay. Pero in reality, hindi naman pala siya nag-conduct ng surveillance. Hindi naman pala siya nag-interview ng witnesses. Yun pala, meron lang siyang sama ng loob kay Ace. Okay? Dahil inagaw ni Ace yung asawa niya. Kaya gusto niyang ma-issuean ng search warrant para mahalughog niya yung bahay ni Ace. In that case, there is actually no just cause for the issuance of a search warrant pero nag-apply siya. Dahil doon, si Police Officer Dennis ay liable under the first act of commission of Article 129. Okay, so that is the first act. Okay. The second act that is punished is exceeding his authority or by using unnecessary severity and executing a search warrant legally procured. Kung doon sa pangalawa, ay sa una, yung search warrant is without just cause, ang ibig sabihin, mali siya from the beginning. Sa umpisa pa lang, dapat hindi na na-issue yung search warrant. Dito naman sa pangalawang mode of commission, there is valid ground for the issuance of a search warrant. Ang ibig sabihin, totoo naman yung mga sinaad ni Police Officer Dennis, okay, that he has personal knowledge and the judge examined all the affidavits of the complainant and his witnesses. However, okay, despite being issued a valid search warrant, nung inimplement na ni Police Officer Dennis yung search warrant, nag-exceed siya ng authority niya. Okay. Kailan ba nangyayari yung pag-exceed ng authority? Halimbawa, si Dennis, okay, may search warrant siya para halungkatin yung bahay ko, okay, to look within the premises of my house for a gun, okay, for a caliber 45 gun, for example. Tapos, in the process of implementing the search warrant, ang ginawa ni Dennis, pinalabas niya ako sa bahay, tapos pinusasan niya ako sa labas, tapos nandun ako sa labas habang siya ay naghalongkat doon sa loob ng bahay at walang other occupants. In that case, Dennis, in the act of implementing the search warrant, exceeded his authority. Okay. What else? For example, si Dennis, may valid search warrant siya para pasukin yung bahay ko. Tapos, kumatok siya sa bahay ko. Tapos, hindi ko nabuksan agad yung gate. Anong ginawa ni Dennis? Okay, pinaputokan ni Dennis yung pintuan ko. That also amounts to an excess in authority. Kasi hindi naman kailangang sirain yung or paputokan yung bahay ko. Correct? Those acts, okay, are acts in excess of the authority of the implementer of the search warrant, for which they are liable under Article 129. Okay? What else? Yung under the second act, yung exceeding his authority. Yung if Dennis searches for premises which are not included in the search warrant. For example, ako, dito yung bahay ko, tapos katabi ko bahay ng nanay ko, tapos dito ako natutulog sa bahay ng nanay ko. Pero yung search warrant, ang naka-indicate, number 97, Poblacion, Sual, Pangasinan. Yung bahay ng nanay ko, number 98. Okay, so ang laman ng search warrant ay number 97. Tapos, hinalungkat din nila yung bahay ng nanay ko. Okay. That is excess in authority in the service of a that is exists in the authority in serving or implementing the search warrant kasi hindi naman nakasaad doon sa search warrant yung bahay ng nanay ko. Okay, so those are acts, okay, which amounts to a violation or exists in authority of implementing the search warrant constitutes the crime of Article 129, search warrants maliciously obtained and abused in the service of those legally obtained. Okay. So, note, okay, that there are exceptions, okay, to the requirement of a valid search warrant. Na-discuss ko na rin to doon sa previous video. And it is still applicable on this section. Yan yung People versus Molina. Kung saan hindi mo na kailangan ng search warrant before ka maghanap or mag-explore, mag-search doon sa place or premises. Yun yung search incidental to a lawful arrest, stop and frisk situations, plain view, search of a moving vehicle, custom searches, and when the person waives his right and voluntarily submits to the authority of the police officer who thereafter searches him. Okay, so in relation to Article 129, we have Article 130, which is searching domicile without witnesses. Okay. So, i-discuss natin to dalawa kasi both of this actually involves yung search warrants. Okay. Under Article 130, searching domicile without witnesses, there are 4 elements. Okay. Number 1, offender is a public officer or employee. Number 2, he is armed with search warrant legally procured. Number 3, he searches the domicile, papers, or other belongings of any person. And number 4, the owner or any members of his family or 2 witnesses residing in the same locality are not present. Okay. So, ang scenario dito sa Article 130, parang Article 129. Okay. Meron kang valid na search warrant. Okay. You procured it with just cause. Ang ibig sabihin, okay, the judge examined the applicant, okay, si police officer and his witnesses, and there is just cause for the issuance of a search warrant. And the search warrant was validly issued. Ngayon, in the implementation of the search warrant, walang tao doon sa dwelling or doon sa place na naka-indicate doon sa search warrant. Under the law, kapag maghahanap ka or kapag mag-search ka, armed with a search warrant, dapat merong witnesses. Okay? Dapat merong occupant. Okay? The order of those who must witness the search are as follows. Okay? Number 1, homeowner, yung may-ari ng bahay, or kahit na hindi siya yung may-ari ng bahay, basta siya ay lawful occupant. Parang yung na-discuss ko doon sa Article 128. Kaya halimbawa, pinalist ng lawful owner. Okay? So, lawful owner or lawful occupant. Number 2, members of the family of sufficient age and discretion. Okay. Members of the family who are also living in that dwelling. Okay, na nakatira doon. And number 3, responsible members of the community. So, ang ibig sabihin, kapag wala yung homeowner, kapag wala yung may-ari, dapat nandoon yung occupant. Kung wala yung lawful occupant, dapat nandoon yung members of his family with sufficient age and discretion. So, hindi pwedeng bata yung nandun. Okay? Kasi with sufficient age and discretion. And number 4, number 3, responsible members of the community. Kung wala doon yung occupant, wala doon yung owner, wala doon yung members of his family, dapat nandun yung responsible members of the community, which could be the barangay officials. Okay. Now, if there are no witnesses, okay, the search becomes illegal. Okay. And the police officers may be held liable. Pwede niyong kasuhan yung mga police, okay, na nag-violate. Halimbawa, yung mga police, pumasok sila, tapos wala silang witnesses. Kahit na may search warrant sila, pwede niyo silang kasuhan under Article 130, searching domicile without witnesses. Okay. In that case, yung validity of the search warrant can be questioned only in two courts, okay? Where issued or where the case is pending, okay? Okay. So that is Article 129 and Article 130 of the Revised Penal Code, okay? So I think we have already covered all. Okay. If you have questions, you can message me. That is all for the kinds of violation of domicile.